Listen to me very carefully, because this is not just another video, and this is not just another motivational message you can scroll past and forget. This is a moment where something inside you is either going to wake up or stay asleep forever. And I need you to decide right now which one you want, because most people are walking through life halfway. They wake up tired, they think tired, they live tired, and then they wonder why nothing in their life feels alive. They are not broken, but they are disconnected from discipline, disconnected from focus, disconnected from the version of themselves that actually has power, direction, and control. And the worst part, they don't even notice it anymore. It has become normal. But let me ask you something that you cannot ignore. When was the last time you actually pushed yourself beyond your comfort? Not casually, not slightly, really pushed. When was the last time you did something difficult, even when your mind was screaming at you to stop? When was the last time you chose discipline over distraction without hesitation? If you struggle to answer that, then you already know where you stand. Because here is the truth most people will never admit. The life you are living right now is not the result of one big failure. It is the result of small daily decisions you keep repeating. Small moments of laziness, small excuses, small delays. And over time, those small things don't stay small and become your identity. And that is why this moment matters. Because right now, in this exact moment, you are either going to continue living on autopilot or you are going to take back control. There is no middle ground. There is no I'll change later. There is only now. There is only this breath, this decision, this awareness hitting you in real time. And I want you to understand something deeply. You are not here by accident. You did not click this to feel entertained. Something in you is searching. Something in you is tired of repeating the same patterns. Something in you knows there is more. Even if your current life doesn't reflect it yet. That something is what we are going to wake up. But be warned, what you are about to hear will not comfort you. It will confront you. It will confront you. It will challenge the excuses you've been protecting. It will question the habits you've been hiding behind. And if you let it, it will shift the way you see yourself from this moment forward. Because this is not about motivation that fades in 5 minutes. This is about a mental reset, a psychological shift, a wake-up call that forces you to stop negotiating with your potential and start facing your reality. So don't just listen with passive ears. Listen like your future depends on it, because in many ways it does. And if you stay with me until the end, something inside you will not be the same again. Discipline is the truth most people try to avoid because it demands something real. It doesn't care about how you feel, doesn't wait for the perfect moment, and it definitely doesn't negotiate with your excuses. It shows up whether you are ready or not, and it asks one simple question: are you going to do what needs to be done, or are you going to fall back into comfort? That's the difference. That's the line between the life you dream about and the life you actually live. Motivation is temporary. It's emotional. It comes in waves. One day you feel unstoppable, like you can conquer anything in front of you, like nothing can break your focus. But the next day, that same fire disappears. You wake up tired. Your energy is low. Your mind is full of doubt. And suddenly the goals that once excited you feel heavy. That's what motivation does. It gives you a spark, but it doesn't give you stability. It's unreliable. And if your entire life is built on something that comes and goes, then your progress will come and go with it. Discipline, on the other hand, is different. Discipline is not about how you feel. It's about what you decide. It's about building standing for yourself so strong that even when your emotions are weak, your actions remain powerful. Discipline is waking up early when your body begs for more sleep. It's going to work when your mind tells you to quit. It's choosing growth when comfort is calling your name. It's doing the hard things not once, not twice, but every single day until they become part of who you are. The problem is most people wait to feel ready. They wait to feel motivated. They wait for the perfect conditions, the perfect mindset, the perfect timing. But the truth is those moments rarely come. And even when they do, they don't last. So if you're waiting for motivation, you're waiting for something unstable to control your life. And that's dangerous, because while you're waiting, time is moving. Opportunities are passing. Someone else is working. Someone else is becoming the person you keep talking about becoming. Discipline doesn't wait. Discipline acts. It moves forward regardless of circumstances. It doesn't need inspiration because it is built on commitment. When you are disciplined, you don't ask yourself if you feel like doing something. You tell yourself that it must be done. That shift in mindset changes everything. It takes you from being controlled by your emotions to being in control of your actions. And once you control your actions, you start controlling your actions. You start controlling your results. Every successful person you admire has one thing in common, and it's not talent, it's not luck, and it's not even intelligence. It's discipline. It's the ability to show up every single day, even when it's hard, even when it's boring, even when there's no immediate reward. Because real growth is not exciting. Real growth is repetitive. It's doing the same things over and over again, refining your skills, pushing your limits, and staying committed long after the excitement fades. Think about it. The gym is full in January, but empty by March. Why? Because people rely on motivation. They feel inspired at the beginning. They feel driven for a few weeks. But when that feeling disappears, so does their effort. But the ones who stay, the ones who transform, the ones who actually change their bodies and their lives are the ones who don't depend on how they feel. They depend on discipline. They show up when it's cold, when it's late, when they're tired, when they don't want to. And that's why they win. Discipline builds confidence, not fake confidence, not temporary confidence, my temporary confidence. Because every time you do what you said you would do, you prove something to yourself. You prove that you are reliable. You prove that you can be trusted. You prove that you are capable of more than your excuses. And that belief starts to grow. It starts to become part of your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries, and you start seeing yourself as someone who does. And once that identity changes, everything changes. You stop negotiating with weakness. You stop making excuses. You stop settling for less than what you know you can achieve. Because discipline raises your standards. It forces you to look at your life and ask, is this really the best I can do? And deep down, you know the answer. You know you can do more. You know you can push harder. You can push harder. You can become better. But knowing is not enough. Thinking is not enough. One is not enough. You have to act. And that's where discipline comes in. It bridges the gap between you are and who you want to be. It takes your goals out of your head and turns them into reality. One action at a time, one decision at a time, one day at a time. There will be days when it feels impossible. Days when your energy is low, your mind is heavy, and everything in you is telling you to stop. Those are the days matter the most, because anyone can move forward when it's easy, but only the discipline can move forward when it's hard. And those moments, those difficult, uncomfortable, painful moments are where your character is built. That's where you become stronger. Because every time you push through resistance, you train your mind to understand that you are not controlled by your feelings. You are controlled by your decisions. And the more you do that, the easier it becomes. What once felt impossible starts to feel normal. What once required effort becomes automatic. That's the power of discipline. It transforms your behavior until excellence becomes your default. So stop chasing motivation. Stop waiting for that perfect feeling, that burst of energy, that moment where everything just clicks. Because that moment is not coming to save you. What will save you is your ability to act without it. Your ability to move forward when you don't feel like it. Your ability to move forward when you don't feel like it. Your ability to stay committed when it's not exciting anymore. That's what separates the average from the exceptional. Discipline over motivation every single time. Small daily wins don't look powerful in the moment. They don't feel life-changing. They don't come with applause, recognition, or instant results. In fact, most of the time, they feel almost insignificant. Waking up a little earlier, reading a few pages, completing a workout, finishing a task, even been avoiding. None of these things seem like they can transform your life. But that's the illusion that keeps people stuck. Because what feels small today is quietly building something massive for tomorrow. People are addicted to big results. They want dramatic change, fast success, instant transformation. They want to skip the process and jump straight to the outcome. But life doesn't work like that. Growth is not explosive. It's accumulative. It's built piece by piece, action by action, decision by decision. And those small wins you keep ignoring, those are the very things that create the big results you're chasing. Think about it like this. No one becomes successful overnight. What looks like an overnight success is actually years of small, consistent efforts stacked together. Every early morning, every late night, every time they chose discipline over comfort, every time they pushed a little further than they wanted to. Those moments didn't seem extraordinary at the time, but together they created something unstoppable. The problem is most people underestimate the power of one day. They think it's just one day. It doesn't matter. So they skip the workout. They procrastinate on their goals. They fall back into bad habits. But what they don't realize is that success and failure are both built the same way, one day at a time. One bad decision may not destroy you, but repeat it over days, weeks, and months. It shapes your life. The same is true for good decisions. One small win may not change everything instantly, but repeated consistently, it changes everything permanently. Every single day, you are casting votes for the person you are becoming. When you choose to do the work, even when it's hard, you're voting for a stronger, more disciplined version of yourself. When you choose to stay consistent, even when you don't see results, you're voting for growth. And when you stack those votes day after day, you don't just change your habits, you change your identity. That's where the real power lies. Not in one big moment, but in the accumulation of small moments. Small daily wins build momentum, and momentum is everything, because once you start moving forward, it becomes easier to keep going. One productive day leads to another. One disciplined action leads to another. And before you know it, you've created a rhythm, a flow, a standard for yourself that becomes hard to break. But it all starts with that first small step. The hardest part is not the work itself. It's starting. It's convincing yourself that what you're doing matters, even when it doesn't feel like it. It's trusting the process when the results are invisible. Because in the beginning, you won't see change. You won't feel transformation. You question if it's even worth it. That's the moment most people quit. That's the moment they go back to comfort, back to old habits, back to the life they say they want to escape. But the ones who win, the ones who actually change their lives, are the ones who keep going anyway. They understand that results are delayed. They understand that growth is happening beneath the surface, even when they can't see it yet. They trust that every small win is building something bigger, something stronger, something that will eventually show. It's like planting a seed. You don't plant it today and expect the tree tomorrow. You water it, you take care of it, you stay consistent. For a long time, nothing seems to happen. But beneath the ground, something is growing. Roots are forming. Strength is building. And then one day it breaks through the surface. That's how success works. It's invisible before it becomes visible. Small daily wins also build confidence. Not the loud, temporary kind, but the quiet, unshakable kind. The kind that comes from knowing you are doing what you said you would do. Every time you complete a task, every time you follow through on a commitment, every time you push yourself just a little further, you prove something to yourself. You prove that you are capable. You prove that you are reliable. You prove that you are not controlled by excuses. And that belief starts to grow. It starts to shape how you see yourself. You stop seeing yourself as someone who struggles to stay consistent. And your private ministry sucks. Well, start seeing yourself as someone who shows up no matter what. That shift in identity is powerful, because once you believe you are that person, your actions begin to align with that belief. But here's the truth most people don't want to hear. Small wins are not glamorous. They are repetitive. They are sometimes boring. They require patience, discipline, and a willingness to keep going, even when it feels like nothing is happening. That's why so many people give up. They don't fail because they're not capable. They fail because they're not willing to stay consistent with the small things. They chase excitement instead of progress. They chase motivation instead of discipline. They chase big moments instead of building small habits. And in doing so, they miss the very process that leads to success. If you want massive results, you have to fall in love with small wins. You have to respect and value them and commit to them every single day. Because those small actions are not separate from your success. They're your success. They're the building blocks, the foundation, the daily proof that you are moving forward. So stop waiting for something big to happen. Stop thinking that your life will change in one moment. It won't. It will change in thousands of small moments. Stack together over time. Wake up and win the morning. Complete the task you've been avoiding. Push yourself just a little harder than yesterday. Stay consistent, even when it's difficult. Do that today, then do it again tomorrow, and the next day, because in the end, it's not the big action to define your life. It's the small ones you repeat every single day. Consistency is the quiet force that most people overlook, yet it is the very thing that separates those who dream from those who actually become. It doesn't scream for attention. It doesn't create instant results. It doesn't give your big rush that motivation gives, but it builds something far more powerful, something unshakable, something permanent. It builds a version of you that cannot be stopped, not because you are the best, but because you refuse to stop showing up. People love the idea of intensity. They love the idea of going all in, pushing hard for a few days, maybe even a few weeks. They get excited. They feel powerful. They convince themselves that this time is different. But then life happens. Energy drops. Motivation fades. Distractions creep in. And just like that, the fire that once burned so strong starts to disappear. That's the pattern most people live in. Short bursts of effort followed by long periods of inconsistency. And that's why they stay stuck, because intensity without consistency means nothing. You can go hard for a day, a week, even a month, but if you can't sustain it, it won't change your life. Real transformation doesn't come from what you do occasionally. It comes from what you do repeatedly, day after day, long after the excitement is gone. Consistency is not about being perfect. It's not about never missing a day or never making a mistake. It's about showing up again and again, even after you fall off, even after you fail, even after you feel like you've lost momentum. It's about refusing to quit, even when progress feels slow, even when results are invisible. That's what makes it a superpower, because most people don't have it. Most people are controlled by their emotions. When they feel good, they work. When they don't, they stop. When things are easy, they push forward. When things get hard, they pull back. Their effort depends on their mood, and their mood is always changing. That's why their results are inconsistent, because they are inconsistent. But when you become consistent, you break that cycle. You stop letting your feelings control your actions. You create a standard for yourself that does not change based on how you feel. Whether you are tired, stressed, distracted, or unmotivated, you still show up, you still do the work, you still move forward. And that's where the shift happens. Because when you show up consistently, you start building trust with us. You stop being someone who makes promises and breaks them. You stop being someone who starts and stops. You become someone who finishes, someone who follows through. Someone who can be relied on, not by others, but by yourself. That kind of trust is powerful. It changes how you see yourself. It changes how you approach challenges, because deep down, you know that no matter what happens, you will keep going. You will not quit. You will not disappear when things get hard. You will stay in the fight. Consistency also compounds your effort. One day of work may not seem like much. One workout, one study session, one step forward, it feels small. But when you repeat it every single day, it starts to add up. It starts to build momentum, and over time, that momentum becomes unstoppable. Think about it like water dripping on a rock. One drop does nothing. It seems weak, insignificant. But over time, with enough consistency, that water can carve through stone. Not because it's powerful in a single moment, but because it never stops. That's what consistency does. It breaks through barriers that intensity alone never could. The challenge is that consistency requires patience. And patience is something most people struggle with. They want results now. They want proof that their effort is working. They want validation. But consistency doesn't give you immediate rewards. It asks you to trust the process. It asks you to keep going even when you don't see progress. And that's where most people give up. They work for a few days, maybe a few weeks, and when they don't see the result, they expect that they quit. They assume it's not working. They assume they're not capable. But the truth is, they just didn't stay consistent long enough to see the results. Because results are delayed. Growth is happening beneath the surface long before it becomes visible. Every time you show up, every time you put in the effort, you are building something. You are improving, learning, getting stronger, but you won't always see it immediately. That's why consistency requires faith. Faith in yourself, faith in the process, faith in what you are doing today will pay off tomorrow. And when you hold on to that faith, when you keep showing up despite the lack of immediate results, that's when you separate yourself from everyone else. Consistency also simplifies everything. You don't have to overthink. You don't have to rely on motivation. You don't have to wait for the perfect moment. You already know what needs to be done, and you do it every day. It becomes part of your routine, part of your identity. And once something becomes part of your identity, it becomes hard to break. You're no longer someone who tries to be consistent. You are consistent. It's who you are. It's how you operate. And when you reach that point, everything changes. Because now success is not something you chase. It's something you naturally move toward because your daily actions are aligned with it. But understand this, consistency is not easy. It will test you. There will challenge you. There will be days when you don't feel like showing up, when you're tired, when you're frustrated, when you question if it's all worth it. Those are the days that matter the most, because anyone can be consistent when it's easy. Anyone can show up when they feel good, but can you stay consistent when it's hard? Can you keep going when you don't feel like it? Can you push through the resistance, the doubt, the on fort? That's what builds strength. That's what builds resilience. That's what builds a mindset that cannot be broken. Consistency is not about doing everything at once. It's about doing something every day. It's about taking one step forward, no matter how small, and refusing to go backward. It's about committing to the process, not just the outcome. Because in the end, it's not the person who starts the strongest who wins. It's the person who lasts the longest. The one who keeps going when others stop. The one who shows up when others disappear. That's the real superpower. And once you have it, nothing can stand in your way. Discomfort is the place most people spend their entire lives trying to avoid, yet it is the only place where real growth lies. It is the space where you are stretched beyond what feels safe, beyond what feels easy, beyond what feels familiar. And because it feels unfamiliar, your mind immediately labels it as something negative, something to escape, something to run from. But what if the very thing you've been avoiding is the exact thing you need to become who you're meant to be? Every time you choose comfort over discomfort, you choose to stay the same. You choose to remain in a space where nothing challenges you, nothing forces you to grow, nothing pushes you to evolve. Comfort feels good in the moment, but it slowly weakens you. It makes you soft. It makes you complacent. And over time, it convinces you that this version of your life is enough, even when deep down, you know it's not. Discomfort, on the other hand, exposes you. It reveals your weaknesses, your fears, your limitations. It forces you to confront the parts of yourself you'd rather ignore. And that's why it's so powerful, because you cannot grow without awareness, and discomfort is what creates that awareness. It shows you exactly where you need to improve, exactly where you need to improve, exactly where you need to push harder, exactly where you've been holding yourself back. Think about the moments when you've grown the most in your life. They were not the easy moments. They were not the times when everything felt perfect and smooth. They were the times when you were challenged, when you were uncomfortable, when you were pushed to your limits. Those moments may have been painful. They may have been difficult, but they changed you. They made you stronger, wiser, more resilient. That's the role of discomfort. It is not there to break you. It is there to build you. But most people misunderstand it. They see discomfort as a sign to stop, a signal that something is wrong. So they back off. They quit. They return to what feels safe. And in doing so, they miss the opportunity to grow. They miss the chance to become more than they are right now. You have to change your relationship with discomfort. You have to stop seeing it as something negative and start seeing it as fuel, as a signal that you are on the right path. Because if you're comfortable all the time, it means you're not challenging yourself. It means you're not stepping outside your limits. It means you're not growing. Growth requires tension. It requires resistance. It requires you to step into situations where you don't feel fully ready, where you don't feel fully confident, where you don't feel fully confident, where you don't feel in control. That's where transformation happens. Look at your body. When you go to the gym, your muscles don't grow by staying comfortable. They grow by being pushed, by being stressed, by being forced to adapt to resistance. The discomfort you feel during a workout is not a sign that something is wrong. It's a sign that something is changing, that your body is being challenged, that it is being forced to grow stronger. Your mind works the same way. Every time you push yourself into discomfort, you are training your mind to expand and to expand in discomfort. You are training your mind to expand. Your private ministry sucks. You teaching it that it can handle more, that it can go further, that it is not limited by fear or doubt. And the more you do that, the more your comfort zone begins to expand. What once felt difficult starts to feel normal. What once felt impossible starts to feel achievable. But that only happens if you lean into the discomfort, not away from it. There will be moments when everything in you wants to quit, when your mind starts creating excuses, when your body feels tired, when the challenge in front of you feels too big. That's the moment where you have a choice. You can step back into comfort, or you can step forward into growth. And every time you choose growth, you build strength, not just physical strength, but mental strength, emotional strength, the kind of strength that allows you to face challenges without breaking, to keep going when things get hard, to stay focused when everything around you is trying to distract you. Discomfort also builds resilience. It teaches you how to handle pressure, how to deal with uncertainty, how to keep moving forward, even when you don't have all the answers. Because life is not always going to be easy. There will be setbacks, failures, obstacles. And if you're not used to discomfort, those moments will break you. But if you've trained yourself to embrace discomfort, those moments will strengthen you. You'll see challenges differently. Instead of seeing them as problems, you'll see them as opportunities. Opportunities to grow, to learn, to become better. You'll stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this trying to teach me? That shift in mindset changes everything. Because now you are no longer avoiding difficulty. You are seeking it. You are no longer afraid of challenges. You are using them. You are no longer running from discomfort. You are running toward it. And that's where you separate yourself from the average, because average people stay comfortable. They avoid risk. They avoid struggle. They avoid anything that makes them feel uncertain. They choose the easy path, the familiar path, the safe path. But the safe path leads to a predictable life, a limited life, a life where potential is never fully realized. If you want more, you have to do more. If you want to become more, you have to face more. You have to be willing to step into situations where you might fail, where you might struggle, where you might feel uncomfortable, because that's where the growth is. That's where the transformation is. Discomfort is not your enemy. It is your greatest teacher. It is the force that pushes you beyond your limits, that forces you to adapt, that shapes you into a stronger version of yourself. So stop avoiding it. Start embracing it. Lean into it when it feels hard. Push through it when it feels uncomfortable. Use it as fuel to go further, to do more, to become better. Because everything you want is on the other side of discomfort. And the moment you stop running from it is the moment your life starts to change. Your mindset is the invisible force that shakes everything in your life. It is the lens through which you see the world, the filter through which you interpret every challenge, every opportunity, every failure, and every success. And whether you realize it or not, it is constantly working in the background, influencing your decisions, your actions, and ultimately your results. Most people focus on external factors. They blame their environment, their circumstances, their past, or other people for where they are in life. They believe that if things around them change, then their life will change. But the truth is, nothing changes until your mindset changes, because it is not what happens to you that defines your life. It is how you think about what happens to you. Two people can face the exact same situation and walk away with completely different outcomes. One sees a problem, the other sees an opportunity. One sees failure, the other sees a lesson. One gives up, the other pushes forward. The difference is not in the situation. It's in the mindset. Your mindset determines how you respond when things get hard, and things will get hard. There will be obstacles, setbacks, moments where everything feels like it's falling apart. And in those moments, your mindset becomes your greatest weapon or your biggest weakness. If your mindset is weak, you will break, you will doubt yourself, you will make excuses, you will look for a way out. You will tell yourself that it's too difficult, that you're not capable, that maybe this path is not meant for you. And those thoughts will control your actions. They will cause you to slow down, to hesitate, to quit. But if your mindset is strong, you will rise. You will see challenges as part of the process, not as barriers. You will understand that difficulty is not a sign to stop, but a signal to grow. You will tell yourself that no matter what happens, you will find a way, and that belief will drive your actions. It will push you forward when everything else is trying to hold you back. Your mindset creates your reality, because your thoughts create your actions, and your actions create your results. If you constantly tell yourself that you can't do something, you won't even try. If you believe that you're not good enough, you will hold yourself back. If you expect failure, you will act in ways that lead to failure. But when you shift your mindset, everything changes. When you start believing that you are capable, you begin to act differently. You take more risks. You push yourself harder. You stay committed even when it's difficult. When you start seeing challenges as opportunities, you stop avoiding them and start embracing them. When you believe that growth is possible, you stop limiting yourself and start expanding your potential. This is not about blind positivity. It's not about ignoring reality or pretending everything is easy. It's about choosing how you interpret reality. It's about choosing to focus on what you can control instead of what you can't. It's about choosing to see possibilities instead of limitations, because your mind will always find evidence to support what you believe. If you believe that the world is against you, you will notice every obstacle, every setback, every negative experience. You will reinforce that belief over and over again. But if you believe that you can grow, that you can improve, that you can overcome challenges, your mind will start looking for solutions, for opportunities, for ways to move forward. That's the power of mindset. It directs your focus, and where your focus goes, your energy follows. If you focus on problems, you will feel stuck. If you focus on solutions, you will take action. If you focus on solutions, you will take action. If you focus on growth, you will move forward The challenge is that your mindset is not fixed. It is shaped by your habits, your environment, the content you consume, the people you surround yourself with, and the thoughts you repeat daily. If you are constantly feeding your mind negativity, doubt, and fear, your mind negativity, doubt, and fear, your mindset will reflect that. It will become weak, limited, and reactive. But the good news is you have control over what you feed your mind. You can choose to expose yourself to ideas that challenge you, that inspire you, that push you to think. You can choose to surround yourself with people who uplift you, who believe in growth, who push you to become better. You can choose to replace negative thoughts with empowering ones, to catch yourself when you start doubting, and shift your focus back to possibility. It takes effort. It takes awareness. It takes discipline. But it is worth it, because once you take control of your mindset, you take control of your life. There will be moments when your mindset is tested. Moments when things don't go your way, when you face rejection, when you experience failure. In those moments, it's easy to fall back into negativity, to question yourself, to lose belief. But that's when your mindset matters the most. That's when you have to remind yourself who you are, that you are not defined by one failure, one setback, one moment, that you are capable of learning, adapting, and growing, that every challenge you face is an opportunity to become stronger. Because the truth is, your reality is not fixed. It is constantly being shaped by your thoughts, your beliefs, and your actions. And when you take control of those things, you start to shape your life in a different direction. You stop being a victim of circumstances and start becoming the creator of your future. So guard your mind, protect it from negativity. Train it to focus on growth, on possibility, on action, because the way you think today will determine the life you live tomorrow. Your mindset is not just part of the journey, it is the foundation of everything. There's a dangerous habit that quietly destroys more dreams than failure ever could, and that habit is waiting. Waiting for the right time, waiting for the perfect moment, waiting until you feel ready, waiting until everything lines up just right. It sounds harmless, it even feels logical, but in reality, it is one of the biggest lies you can tell yourself. Because while you are waiting, life is moving. Time is passing. Opportunities are slipping away. And the version of you that you could have become is being delayed by your own hesitation. The truth is, there is no perfect moment. There is no day where everything suddenly becomes easy, where fear disappears, where confidence magically appears, and where you feel completely ready. That moment does not exist. And if you keep waiting for it, you will wait forever, because readiness is not something you feel before you act. It is something you build before you act. It is something you build by acting. Most people think they need clarity before they start. They want to know exactly what to do, exactly how it will work, exactly what the outcome will be. But clarity does not come from thinking. It comes from doing. It comes from taking that first step, even when you are unsure, even when you are uncomfortable, even when you don't have all the answers. Action creates clarity, but waiting creates doubt. The longer you wait, the more your mind starts to overthink. It starts to create excuses. It starts to amplify fear. It starts to convince you that maybe you're not ready, maybe you're not good enough, maybe this isn't the right time. And before you know it, what started as a small hesitation turns into complete inaction. That's how dreams die, not in one big moment, but in small delays repeated over time. You say you'll start tomorrow. Tomorrow becomes next week. Next week becomes next month. And before you realize it, years have passed and you're still in the same place with the same ideas, the same goals, and the same excuses. But there are people out there who are not waiting. There are people who are starting before they feel ready, who are taking action despite fear, who are learning as they go. They are not more talented than you. They are not more capable than you. The only difference is that they decided to move while you decided to wait. And that decision changes everything, because action is powerful. It shifts your mindset. It builds momentum. It creates opportunities. The moment you take action, even if it's small, you break the cycle of hesitation. You send a signal to yourself that you are no longer controlled by fear, that you are no longer waiting for permission, that you are ready to move forward. And once you start, something incredible happens. You realize that the things you were afraid of are not as big as you imagined. But you realize that you are capable of figuring things out. You realize that progress is possible, even if it's slow. But none of that happens until you take that first step. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to become great. That's the reality. Every expert was once a beginner. Every successful person once stood exactly where you are right now, uncertain, unsure, questioning themselves. questioning themselves. The difference is they didn't let that stop them. They moved anyway. They didn't wait for confidence. They built it to action. They didn't wait for certainty. They created through experience. They didn't wait for the perfect moment. They made the moment perfect by starting. You have to understand that fear is not a sign to stop. It is a sign that you are stepping into something new, something challenging, something that has the potential to change your life. If you wait until fear disappears, you will never move, because fear does not disappear. It shrinks as you take action. Every time you act despite fear, you weaken it. You prove to yourself that it does not control you. And over time, what once felt terrifying starts to feel normal, but that only happens if you act. There will always be reasons not to start. You're too tired, too busy, not prepared enough, not experienced enough. Your mind will always find a way to justify waiting, but you have to understand something. Those reasons will always be there. If you don't start now, you will find new excuses later. The conditions will never be perfect, but your willingness to act can be. You have to become the kind of person who moves regardless of the circumstances, who takes action regardless of the doubts, who starts even when the outcome is uncertain. Because waiting keeps you stuck, but action moves you forward. It may not be perfect, it may not be fast, it may not be easy, but it will be progress. It may not be easy, but it will be progress. And progress, no matter how small, is always better than standing still. The world does not reward those who wait. It rewards those who act, those who take risks, who step outside their comfort zone, who are willing to fail, learn, and try again. You have something inside you, an idea, a goal, a vision of the life you want to live, but that vision will remain just that, a vision, unless you take action, unless you bring it into reality through effort, through movement, through consistent steps forward. So stop waiting. Stop telling yourself that you start when the time is right now. Stop telling yourself that you act when you feel ready. You will never feel completely ready. Stop telling yourself that you need everything figured out. You will figure it out along the way. The only thing you need to do is begin. Take the first step, then take another and another, because every step you take moves you closer to the person you want to become. Every action you take builds momentum. Every moment you choose to act instead of wait, you are rewriting your story. And one day you will look back and realize that everything changed, not because you waited, but because you finally decided to start. There's a version of you that exists right now built from your past habits, your past decisions, your past mindset. That version of you has limits. It has patterns, it has comfort zones that feel safe, but keep you stuck. And if you keep living the same way, thinking the same way, acting the same way, that version of you will become permanent. That will be your life. That will be your ceiling. But there is another version of you, stronger, sharper, more disciplined, more focused. A version of you that wakes up with purpose, that attacks the day instead of reacting to it, that doesn't make excuses, that doesn't hesitate when things get hard. That version of you is not a fantasy, it is real. But it is waiting on one thing. It is waiting for you to outwork who you used to be. Because growth is not about competing with other people. It's not about proving something to the world. It's about looking at yourself in the mirror and asking a simple but powerful question. Am I better than I was yesterday? Not more talented, not more gifted, not more lucky, but more disciplined, more focused, more committed. Not more lucky, but more disciplined, more focused, more committed. That's the real competition. And the truth is, most people are not losing to others. They are losing to their old selves. They fall back into old habits. They repeat the same mistakes. They allow the same excuses to control their actions. They want a new life, but they keep operating with an old mindset. You cannot create a new future with old behaviors. If you want something different, you have to become someone different. And that transformation happens through daily effort, through choosing to push a little harder than you did before, through refusing to settle for the version of you that was comfortable with average. Outworking your old self means raising your standard. It means looking at what you used to accept and deciding that it's no longer good enough. The laziness, the procrastination, the inconsistency, excuses, those things may have defined you before, but they do not define you anymore. Every day becomes an opportunity to prove that. When you wake up, you have a choice. You can follow the same routine, think the same thoughts, move through the day the same way you always had. Or you can challenge yourself. You can push beyond what feels normal. You can do something today that the old version of you would have avoided. That's how change happens. It doesn't happen in one big moment. It happens in small decisions. The decision to get up when you want to stay in bed. The decision to work when you feel distracted. The decision to stay focused when your mind is looking for an escape. Those moments may seem small, but they are powerful because each time you choose discipline over comfort, you are separating yourself from who you used to be. You are building a new identity. And identity is everything. If you still see yourself as someone who quits, someone who procrastinates, someone who lacks discipline, your actions will reflect that. But when you start proving to yourself day after day that you are capable of more, that you can push harder, that you can stay consistent, your identity begins to shift. You stop saying, I'm trying to improve, and you start saying, I am improving, and you start saying, I am improving. You stop seeing growth as something you want, and you start seeing it as something you live. Outworking your old self also means being honest with yourself. It means facing the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. It means recognizing where you've been holding back, where you've been making excuses, where you've been settling for less than your potential. Because you cannot outwork a version of yourself that you refuse to acknowledge. You have to see it clearly, the habits that are slowing you down, the mindset that is limiting you, the patterns that are keeping you stuck. And once you see it, you have a responsibility to change it. Not tomorrow, not next week. Today, there will be resistance. There will be moments when your old habits try to pull you back, when your mind tries to convince you to take it easy, to go back to what's familiar. That's normal. Change is uncomfortable. Growth is uncomfortable. But that's where the battle is won, because every time you resist that pull, every time you choose to move forward instead of falling back, you gain strength. You prove to yourself that you are not controlled by your past. You prove that you are capable of change. And that builds confidence, not the kind of confidence that comes from words or motivation, but the kind that comes from action. The kind that comes from knowing that no matter how hard it gets, you will keep going, that you will not fall back into the same patterns, that you will not settle for the same results. Outworking your old self is not about being perfect. There will be days when you fall short, when you don't perform at your best, when you make mistakes. That's part of the process. But the difference is you don't stay there. You don't let one bad day turn into a bad week, a bad month, a bad life. You get back up, you reset, you keep going, because you understand that progress is not about perfection. It's about persistence. And over time, something incredible happens. The things that once felt difficult become easier. The habits that once required effort become automatic. The discipline that once felt force becomes natural. You don't even recognize the old version of yourself anymore. That's the goal. To become someone so different, so improved, so evolved, that your past self would not recognize who you've become. But that transformation doesn't happen by accident. It happens by choice, by choosing every single day to do more, to be more, to push further than you did before. So don't compare yourself to anyone else. Don't worry about what others are doing. Focus on one thing, being who you were yesterday. Outwork your old self. Every day, if you do that long enough, consistently, relentlessly, without giving up, you won't just improve, you will transform. Perfection is one of the most dangerous illusions. Your private ministry sucks. Can chase because it disguises itself as ambition while secretly feeding your fear. It convinces you that you need to be flawless before you start, that everything has to be perfectly planned, perfectly executed, perfectly timed. But behind that idea is hesitation, overthinking, and in many cases, complete inaction. While you're trying to make everything perfect, nothing actually moves forward. Progress, on the other hand, is real. It's imperfect, messy, sometimes slow, sometimes frustrating, but it moves. And movement is what creates change. Movement is what builds momentum. Movement is what turns ideas into reality. Most people don't fail because they lack talent or potential. They fail because they are waiting to be perfect. They hesitate to start because they're afraid of making mistakes. They hold back because they don't want to look foolish. They overanalyze every step, trying to eliminate every possible flaw before they even begin. And in doing so, they trap themselves in a cycle of thinking instead of doing. But the truth is, perfection is not the goal. It never was. Perfection doesn't exist in the real world. There will always be flaws, always be room for improvement, always be something that could have been done better. If you wait until everything is perfect, you will wait forever. And while you're waiting, others are moving, others are learning, others are moving. They are not better than you. They are just willing to be imperfect. Progress is built on action. It's built on taking steps, even when those steps are uncertain, even when they're not perfect. It's built on learning through experience, adjusting along the way, and continuing to move forward despite mistakes. Mistakes are not the opposite of progress. They're a part of it. Every mistake teaches you something. Every failure gives you feedback. Every imperfect attempt shows you what works and what Doesn't. And with that knowledge, you improve, you refine, you get better. But if you never take that first imperfect step, you never gain that knowledge. You stay stuck in theory, stuck in ideas, stuck in a potential that is never realized. Progress requires courage. The courage to start before you're ready. The courage to start uncertainty. Your courage to accept that your first attempt will not be your best. And that's okay, because your first attempt is not supposed to be perfect. It's supposed to be a starting point. Think about any skill you've ever developed. You were not perfect at the beginning. You struggled, you made mistakes, you learned, and over time with consistent effort, you improve. That's how growth works. It's a process, not an event. But when you focus on perfection, you interrupt that process. You become so focused on avoiding mistakes that you stop taking action. You become so focused on getting it right that you never give yourself the chance to get better. Progress, on the other hand, embraces the process. It accepts that growth takes time and understands that improvement is built through repetition, through effort, through consistency. It shifts your focus from how can I be perfect to how can I be better than I was yesterday. That shift changes everything. Now, you are not chasing an impossible standard. You are chasing improvement. You are measuring success not by perfection, but by progress. Did you move forward today? Did you take a step, no matter how small? Did you learn something? Did you push yourself? If the answer is yes, then you are winning. Progress builds confidence. Every step forward, every small improvement, every completed task, it all adds up. It reinforces the belief that you are capable, that you can grow, that you can improve, Perfection, on the other hand, destroys confidence. Because no matter how good you are, it will never feel like enough. You will always find flaws, always see imperfections, always feel like you're falling short. That mindset keeps you stuck in self-doubt. But when you focus on progress, you start to appreciate the journey. You start to see how far you've come, not just how far you have to go. You begin to recognize your effort, your growth, your improvement, and that fuels you to keep going. Progress also creates momentum. One small step leads to another. One improvement leads to another. And over time, those small steps turn into significant change. But it only happens if you keep moving. There will be days when your progress feels slow. Days when you feel like you're not improving as fast as you want. Days when you compare yourself to others and feel behind. That's when you have to remind yourself, this is your journey. You are not competing with anyone else. You are not on anyone else's timeline. Your private ministry sucks. Your only responsibility is to keep moving forward, to keep improving, to keep growing. Because in the long run, consistency beats perfection. Effort beats hesitation. Progress beats everything. The people who succeed are not the ones who do everything perfectly. They are the ones who keep going, who keep improving, who refuse to stop. They understand that success is not about getting everything right the first time. It's about learning, adapting, and continuing to move forward. So stop chasing perfection. Stop waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect version of yourself. It doesn't exist. What exists is this moment. What exists is your ability to take a step forward right now, exactly as you are. It won't be perfect, but it will be progress, and progress repeated every single day is what creates the life you're striving for. Your life right now is a reflection of your habits, not your intentions, not your goals, not your dreams, but your habits. The things you do every single day, often without even thinking, are quietly shaping your future. They are either building you into the person you want to become, or they are pulling you further away from it. There's no neutral ground. Every habit is either working for you or against you. Most people underestimate how powerful habits are because they don't see immediate results. One skipped workout doesn't seem like a big deal. 1 hour wasted doesn't feel like it matters. One bad decision doesn't look like it would change anything. But habits are not about single moments. They are about patterns. And patterns repeated over time define your life. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. You can have big dreams, powerful ambitions, and a clear vision of where you want to go. But if your daily habits don't align with that vision, you will never reach it. Because your habits are what you actually do, not what you say you want to do. They are your real actions, your real priorities, your real commitment. If you want a better future, you don't start by focusing on the outcome. You start by focusing on your daily routine. You start by asking yourself, what am I doing every single day that is either moving me forward or holding me back? Because success is not built in one moment. It is built in the small repeated actions that most people ignore. Waking up early, staying consistent with your work, choosing to learn instead of waste time, taking care of your body, controlling your thoughts. These actions may seem small, but when they become habits, they create a system, and that system produces results automatically. That's the power of habits. They remove the need for constant decision making. When something becomes a habit, you don't have to think about it, you just do it. It becomes part of who you are. And when your private ministry sucks, why habits are aligned with your goals, progress becomes inevitable, but the opposite is also true. If your habits are weak, inconsistent, and driven by comfort, your life will reflect that. You will struggle to stay focused, struggle to stay disciplined, struggle to make progress, not because you're not capable, but because your habits are working against you. That's why building the right habits are working against you. That's why starting small and those important things you can do. It's not about doing everything at once. It's about starting small and being consistent. It's about choosing one habit, one action, one behavior that moves you closer to your goal and committed to it every single day. Because habits are built through repetition. At first, it will feel difficult. It will feel unnatural. You will have to push yourself, remind yourself, force yourself to follow through. That's the phase when most people quit, because it's uncomfortable, because it requires effort, because it doesn't feel automatic yet. But if you stay consistent, something changes. What once felt hard starts to feel easier. What once required effort starts to feel natural, and eventually it becomes part of your routine, part of your identity. You are no longer someone who tries to build good habits. You are someone who lives them. That's when the real transformation happens, because now success is not something you chase. It's something your habits create for you. But building good habits also requires breaking bad ones, and that's where the real challenge lies. Bad habits are easy. They are comfortable, familiar, and often rewarding in the short term. They give you immediate satisfaction, immediate relief, immediate pleasure, but they come at a cost. Over time, they weaken your discipline, waste your time, and hold you back from your potential. Good habits are the opposite. They are often difficult at the beginning. They require effort, discipline, and consistency, but they reward you in the long term. They build strength, focus, and progress. So every day you are making a choice. Do you choose what is easy now or what will benefit you later? Do you choose comfort or do you choose growth? Because those choices repeated daily become your habits, and your habits become your life. You cannot build a strong future on weak habits. You cannot expect success if your daily actions do not support it. You cannot become disciplined if you keep choosing comfort. You have to be intentional. You have to take control of your routine. You have to decide what kind of person you want to become, and then build habits that align with that identity. If you want to be focused, build habits that eliminate distractions. If you want to be strong, build habits that challenge your body. If you want to be successful, build habits that push you to work, learn, and grow. It's not complicated, but it is not easy, because it requires consistency. It requires discipline. It requires you to show up every single day, even when you don't feel like it. But if you do, the results will come. Slowly at first, almost invisible, but over time, they will grow. They will compound. And one day you will look at your life and realize that everything has changed. Not because of one big moment, but because of the habits you built along the way. So don't focus on doing everything perfectly. Don't try to change your entire life overnight. Start with one habit, commit to it, repeat it daily, and let it build your future. Because the habits you build today are the foundation of the life you will live tomorrow. Every single day, there is a war happening inside you, not outside, not in your job, not in your family, not in your family, not in your family, not in your circumstances, inside you. Between who you are right now and who you are capable of becoming. And the 10th keynote is about one thing: refusing to waste a single day of your existence. Because most people don't fail in one big moment. They fail in small, invisible days where they choose comfort over growth, distraction over discipline, excuses over execution, and those days stack up. Quietly, sylvan, until one day they wake up and wonder where their potential went. It didn't disappear. It was given away one day at a time. You have to understand something deeply if you want to become better every single day. Time does not care about your intentions. Time only respects your actions. You can intend to change. You can wish to grow. You can hope for a better version of yourself. But time will still move forward and leave you behind if your behavior does not match your ambition. And this is where most people deceive themselves. They think thinking about change is the same as making change. It is not. Thinking is just the beginning of awareness. But awareness without action becomes self-torture, because now you know what you should do, but you still don't do it. So this keynote is a demand, not a suggestion, a demand that you stop romanticizing improvement and start executing it. Because becoming better every day is not emotional, it is mechanical, it is not about motivation, it is about repetition, it is about doing the same disciplined things even when you feel nothing, especially when you feel nothing, because feelings are unreliable. One day you feel powerful, the next day you feel weak. One day you feel focused, the next day you feel lost. If you build your life on feelings, you will always be unstable. But if you build your life on systems, you become dangerous. And here is the truth most people avoid. You do not need massive transformation to change your life. You need microscopic consistency. 1% better, one honest rep, one focused hour, one clean decision, one discipline. Net action, that is how identity changes. Not in explosions, but in repetition. Because every small action is casting a vote for the person you are becoming. When you choose discipline, you are voting for a stronger version of yourself. When you choose laziness, you are voting for stagnation. And your life is simply the sum of these votes. But let's go deeper, because becoming better every day is not just about what you do. It is about what you refuse. You must learn to refuse the identity of someday. Someday I will start. Someday I will change. Someday I will be serious. Someday I will take life seriously. That word is a trap. Someday is where dreams go to die slowly. Real growth lives in today. In this hour, in this moment, in the uncomfortable decision you are avoiding right now. And you have to become someone who respects the present moment like it is sacred. Because it is. The present moment is the only place where power exists. The past is memory. The future is imagination. But right now is action. And most people abandon their power every single day because they are mentally living in places they cannot control. They are stressed about yesterday. They are anxious about tomorrow. And they ignore today. And in ignoring today, they ignore their only chance to change anything. So you must train your mind to come back. Every time it drifts, bring it back. Every time it excuses, correct it. Every time it ceases, correct it. Every time it excuses, correct it. Every time it hesitates, push it. Not aggressively against life, but firmly against your own weakness. Because weakness is not your identity, it is your habit. And habits can be replaced. Becoming better every day also requires honesty. Brutal honesty. You cannot grow while lying to yourself. You cannot improve while defending your bad habits. You cannot evolve while constantly justifying your laziness. At some point, you have to look at your life without filters and admit, this is my responsibility, not my situation, not my past, not my luck. My responsibility, that moment of ownership is painful, but it is powerful, because the moment you own your life completely, you also gain the ability to change it completely. And here is something people don't like to hear. You already know what to do. Deep down, you know what is wasting your time. You know what is weakening your discipline. You know what is pulling you backwards. The problem is not knowledge. The problem is obedience. You are not lacking information. You are lacking execution. And execution is where your future is decided. So stop waiting for inspiration. Stop waiting for perfect conditions. Stop waiting for a version of yourself that feels ready. That version will only appear after you start, not before. Action comes first. Motivation follows action, not the other way around. The moment you move, even slightly, something inside you shifts. Momentum is born, and momentum is what carries you through resistance. And you must understand resistance will always show up. The mind will always try to protect you from discomfort. It will whisper reasons to delay, to quit, to relax, to escape. That voice will never disappear. But you can stop obeying it. That is the difference between people who grow and people who stay the same. Both hear the voice. One listens, one doesn't. So the mission is simple, but not easy. Become someone who does not negotiate with his growth, not daily, not hourly, not emotionally. You decide and you execute. No long debates, no emotional discussions with yourself, just direction and discipline. And when you live like this, something powerful happens. You stop chasing a better life and you start building a better identity. And identity is everything. Because your identity will always pull your behavior back to match it. If you see yourself as inconsistent, you will act inconsistent. If you see yourself as disciplined, you will act inconsistent. If you see yourself as disciplined, you will eventually act disciplined. So your job is not just to do better things. Your job is to become the kind of person who naturally does better things. This is the final layer of becoming better every day. You are not trying to improve your life. You are trying to improve the person living it, because when the person changes, the life changes automatically. So don't waste today. Don't postpone your discipline. Don't delay your transformation. There is no perfect moment coming. There's only this moment. And what you do with it is what you are becoming. So let it settle in your mind right now. You are not stuck. You are not finished, and you are not behind. You are simply at the point where truth is finally meeting your life. And that truth is simple. You will not become better by accident. You will not grow by hoping. You will not change by waiting. You become better every single day only when you decide that your future is more important than your comfort. Because every person watching this right now is living in one of two worlds: the world of excuses or the world of execution, the world of delay or the world of discipline, the world of I'll do it tomorrow or the world of I start now. And the difference between these two worlds is not talent, it is not luck, it is not opportunity, it is decision. A daily decision, a quiet decision, a powerful decision that nobody claps for, but your future depends on. And understand this clearly: nobody is coming to rescue you. No perfect moment is going to arrive. No magical motivation is going to stay forever. No external force is going to suddenly turn your life around. It will always come back to you. Your habits, your mindset, your standards, your discipline, that is the foundation everything is built on. So if you truly want to become better every single day, then you must become someone who respects small actions. Because your life is not built in big moments. It is built in ordinary moments that you either win or waste: waking up when you said you would, doing the work when you don't feel like it, staying focused when distractions are calling your name. These are not small things. These are the exact things that separate average lives from extraordinary ones. And here's the hard truth you must accept before you leave this moment: you are already becoming something. You are already becoming more disciplined or more distracted, more focused or more careless, more powerful or more weak. There's no pause button on life. There's only direction, and every choice is pushing you somewhere. So ask yourself honestly, where are your daily choices taking you? Not your dreams, not your words, your actions. Because your actions are always louder than your intentions, and your future always shaped by what you repeatedly do, not what you occasionally plan. But the powerful part is this: you still have control. You still have time. You still have the ability to change direction. Starting today, not next week, not next month. Today, one decision at a time, one disciplined action at a time, one better version of yourself at a time. And if you commit to that, something will shift inside you. At first, it will feel difficult. Then it will feel uncomfortable. Then it will feel uncomfortable. But if you stay consistent, it will become natural. And one day, without even realizing it, you will wake up and notice that you are no longer the same person who used to quit, delay, and doubt. You will have become someone stronger, someone sharper, someone built through discipline. That is the real reward. Not applause, not validation, not recognition. The reward is transformation. The reward is self-respect. The reward is looking at your life and knowing you didn't waste it. So don't walk away from this moment unchanged. Don't let these words stay as inspiration only. Turn them into action, because your life will not improve by what you hear. It will only improve by what you do next. And what you do next is who you are becoming.